how we, even as some Democrats, unfortunately, have just really been kind of awful, right? And I have a little shrine on my desk in my office. I call it my humility shrine. And one of the items on my shrine is a Barack Obama bobblehead doll. And I keep it there because when he announced he was going to run, I laughed out loud. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought there was no chance that there would be a black president in my lifetime. And I was wrong not just once, but twice. So I keep it on my shrine to remind me to never let the disappointments of yesterday rob me of the possibility of tomorrow. And I guess I just want to. Mandami reminded me of that. Like, here's this guy with this crazy name that has this title, and he just did it. He just ran. He just like instead of giving into a crisis of imagination, he just moved forward despite all the reasons that it theoretically wasn't supposed to work. And I've just been taking a lot of encouragement from that. That, listen, I don't know what's at the very top of the stairs, but all you can do is take the next stair, the next step in the journey, and just keep moving forward. So I'm looking at that win today and challenging myself to make sure that I am living in possibility and not in distraction or discouragement. And just wanted to encourage everyone else to do this.
Wow. Denise, you're really good at this word thing. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I have a lot of it. Well, look, it makes you think. Thanks so much, everybody. We have a lot to do, but that's the deal. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same station. See you then.
In people than the old racial categories from the 1800s.
Yeah, tell this to white people.
So it's like
Again, that's a very, very that's one of those impossible ideas.
There is a mind.
There's no mind.
What is awareness?
Your existence.
So awareness isn't like when I am aware of something.
For you, it will be like that. For God, it would be pure awareness. Doesn't need to utilize that faculty.
No, I just don't know what that means.
He would be awareness itself. So the thing is because it's not separate than self. So to love another would be to ground this love in this all love God. to be aware would be to ground this awareness. You and I, for example, are aware of something. As an observer, for example, in a very heightened, like meditative state of awareness, then this awareness is grounded in this all awareness of things, which is God itself. So it would always be like through another.
The fossilization finally comes in, but I'm not even going to mention, but somebody has got these eccentric views. All the Muslims say one thing, and this person says something else. I actually just did all readings. But when I'm talking about serious scholarship, what they say as example by famous illustrious Sheikh, he said the following. Anybody who rejects slavery in Islam is either super ignorant and or a kafir. This is a very serious thing. He might be right. Now let's look at this. I hope this can be backed up by proof. I hope this is not just an assertion. Because my dad, if he said something like this, I won't. It won't be nice. My own dad, my late dad, who was actually a very learned man, exceptionally learned, I wouldn't let him off with this. Say, where did you prove that? And please don't go around making these claims in public. You need to show proof as a Muslim. You can't go around, there's people's rights involved. You do not define Islam. I don't define Islam. There is no so-called fatwa. You don't have right to make no fatwa. I don't see nowhere where Allah or His Messenger tells you have right to make fatwa. How learned you are. You need to present proof. You're ready? No, we know your followers. We follow Allah and His Messenger specifically as Muslims. Now you need to track this claim of yours. And if you could show me in the Quran and so-called what you know as the Sunnah, I'll be happy. I will reform my ideas. It's not the first time I've changed them. And I will concede. And I will be even an advocate of the position. But you're not going to be rambling along.
But you know I can, Andy. You know I can.
Okay,
I'm a Jadi, remember. Remember, I can actually do it.
But before you do this, Sheikh, can we actually hear this long-awaited video that somebody promised that he was going to play? It's only 3 minutes. I could play 3, maybe even 4 minutes. And I hope somewhere in this is a proof, something that shows that somebody who does not accept slavery like myself, could be a fool. I could be definitely ignorant. It's not the first time, as I said, you changed my mind. That there's a gravitational proof in what this statement is to show that anybody, that slavery, number one, is part and parcel of Islam, is endorsed by Islam. Number two, that anybody who rejects this is ignorant and or a kafir. I hope this can be substantiated. If you can't, then it says volumes about the things that you're citing and why you're citing it.
But let me, like, have you...
Could you play it and then give us your comment?
I'm gonna play it, but is Dawood listening?
Dawood, are you listening?
Yeah, I'm listening in the background.
So with this long awaited play, could you play it and then give us your comments and tell us where the proof is?
Because there's a distinction between, because we do need to make a distinction between overturning the 14th Amendment and interpreting.
I have a clarity point before you do a vote.
Hold on. I just want to do a vote and then you got to put a gun emoji in the chat if y'all feel like there needs to be clarification, right? And to the 14th Amendment for Donald Trump is not trying to repeal it, right? He's trying to, he's basically trying to restrict how it's interpreted, right? So, do y'all agree with Trump? Put a gun emoji, put a brain emoji in chat if y'all disagree.
No, Luke, he's literally trying to repeal it. That's what he's trying to do. He even gave an alternative other than how it's done now. Yes, he said that it, no, can we read the executive order? Can we read the executive order?
We can read the executive order.
He literally gave an alternative. He wants it to go from just soli to just sanguinis, which basically means that you have to have at least one American parent who is already a citizen or a green card holder. That is literally what is being submitted, as opposed to what is in place now, which would literally repeal the 14th Amendment, which means that birth by soil would be invalidated. So yeah.
Okay, so Mickey, I have the
Mickey, I know you're not American. But there's no I in my name. It's M-E-K-E-Y.
Yeah, it was just real quick. So AI, you referenced this 2-year thing. So that was for naturalization. It's from the Naturalization Act of 1790, and then it became 5 years in 1795. But it did not change the birth rule. So that did not speak to that at all. If you could have been 2 Italians, and if you had a child in the U.S., that child would be a U.S. citizen. So that Naturalization Act did not speak to children at all. So even before the 14th Amendment, if you were from Europe and you ended up having a child in here, your child would be a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so CEO, let me ask you this. Where was that in the Constitution prior to the Naturalization Act? It wasn't. So the Naturalization Act officially established
English common law.
Exactly. So the Naturalization Act officially established what an American is and who can be an American. Prior to that, yes, it was just interpreted how it was. That's why I said in 1790, it clearly states who and how and when and what you can become an American. What an American is.
No, it didn't.
So,
it talked about the process for people coming into the country. It didn't speak to people born in the country. You're conflating the two ideas together.
But CEO, everybody was coming into the country at that point. That's what I'm trying to get you to
I'm saying, but people visited still. People visited. You still had people visiting.
All right, but CEO, you got to remember, right? When the country was established, it was the colonies. Once we became the official United States, right? We had borders and we had boundaries. People started to come from Europe. When you came from Europe, we had a process for you to actually become a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, and if you were non-white, you weren't even in the conversation.
All right. Can we get back to this big beautiful bill now? Are we done with the 14th Amendment? Because that was a good combo. It was actually a good combo.
I just want to make one last statement. And for the people that's from the U.S. Virgin Islands, we bought and paid for you guys with our tax dollars. So you're American citizens.
I was going to say this too. Trump, this is what Trump's trying to do. He's trying to issue an executive order or push for federal regulations that reinterprets the 14th Amendment. All right. He wanted basically to say children born to non-citizens or undocumented immigrants are not automatically U.S. citizens. Right. So he's basically trying to force a legal challenge, likely ending up at the Supreme Court to revisit or overturn the Wong King Art. And people bring this case up, but they never bring up the important piece in this case, which is the Chinese Exclusionary Act. Right? They was being discriminated against based off that act. So that was a big part of this case. They only bring this up to try to say, they already made amendments to it during this time. That do that. It's just kind of.
But Lou, but the Chinese one, that's because the Naturalization Act excluded non-white people. So that's the crazy part to me. Trump is mentioning the 14th Amendment and slavery, right? Which no Republican even utters the word slavery, right? So shout out to Republicans for at least saying the S word after a century. No, I'm being facetious. So the point that I'm trying to say is that Mitch McConnell said that Barack Obama being elected was reparations, so they have said the R word. But basically, so we could also refer to the Chinese, the Wong case, but people also don't refer to Dred Scott, which was similar to Wong, because remember, Dred Scott literally was a challenge to the Constitution, right? It was a challenge to to the Naturalization Act. So the same way that you're dismissing Wong, that is why, the 14th Amendment had to basically be open for everybody. So it's actually misinformation that it was only for the children of the formerly enslaved, because this country has been racist since day one. There were literally things that were put in place for non-white people. That's literally what it says. Like I said, I learned about all this in the 2nd and the 3rd grade, right? So if you look at Dred Scott, so as I've said before on this app, I literally have Native American blood, so all of you are immigrants to me, seriously. Literally all of you. I just answered your question. So I'm not against immigration because all of y'all would not be here. I literally have indigenous blood, so all of you, do you not understand what I'm telling you? I'm on the side of...
Because on one hand you're saying...
It's only confusing to you. All of you are immigrants to me. So I'm not anti-immigrant because then it would just be me and my ancestors here, which I would love, actually. right? So, but no, all of you are immigrants to me because none of y'all were born here.
You see what you said?
What, do you not understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I answered your question. Do you have another one?
At the same time,
No, I'm not.
You're defending the way that the 14th
So
Amendment
you don't have a I'm defending the Constitution because I'm an American. I believe in the Constitution. Like, do you not understand that? I don't have to agree with it to defend it. I'm an American. I'm supposed to follow the Constitution. You're a first generation immigrant. That's why. No, I don't have to agree with it to defend it. What are you talking about?
So that's an easy thing to understand. You're going to act like that checks it. That oxymoronic statement is easy to understand.
Wait a minute. What are you confused about? I don't have to agree with something to defend it. Are you serious right now? Oh my God, y'all are so emotional. Anywho, the point that I'm making, Lou, is that Dred Scott literally, remember that interpretation said, if you are a child of a slave, it does not matter if you're in this country or not, you cannot be a citizen ever, which is why the 14th Amendment also, right, had to basically say this is inclusive of everyone, because the Naturalization Act, right, if you remember early on in this country was not white women, right? It was not poor white men, which is 90% of the white people on Clubhouse, talking about, oh, y'all are different. We're not like the blacks. Yes, the fuck you were, because your ass wasn't included in that shit either, which is why it quote unquote said you had to be a white person of good standing. And what the fuck did that mean? You had to have some money. You had to have some land, just like the founding fathers. So the poor white people should be up in arms about the 14th Amendment too, because that shit didn't apply to y'all. That gave y'all just as much freedom as it did the former Negroes. I'm done. But go ahead, Lutz. Let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. Speaking of poor white people, oh, they really gonna be.
And they said good character, by the way, not good standing.
Yep, good character. We know what that meant. No poor white people. So I don't know why they thinking like this shit don't apply to them either, because it fucking.
It also suggests they had to be on good behavior for a while and be monitored for a while before they got into the category. For a couple of years, like.
The Constitution didn't apply to them at all, but they swear to God that it did. It's hilarious.
It's kind of cool to hear y'all say that, because y'all basically acknowledging that it was a process and anybody just couldn't touch base and say, I had a baby here, they're American. I'm glad y'all actually...
Yeah, anybody who wasn't a white landed gentry person. Yeah, so it was exclusatory, basically.
But we can't leave out the fact that you had to wait a period of number of years, right? To be an American citizen.
Exactly.
But that's...
Aw, look at all the poor people in the chat that are upset with me. Aw. Y'all are so cute. Y'all are so adorable. Aw. Stay mad.
Why do you have to do this?
Blame my European ancestors. I'm sorry.
All right, so this is my thing, right? So the reason why you can attempt to make an argument, right? It probably a weak constitutional argument, but it's highly, well, I wouldn't even make the argument before you, because this one shouldn't apply to all immigrant children. Right? I know that it did, but I don't think it should, right? Because only those facing discrimination due to the Exclusion Act of Chinese folks, right? That should apply to them and them only, right? They use this case to broaden it for all people whose family came from immigrants whose children were born in the United States, which I think was misinterpretation. That's why Trump need to make modifications to this. They need to clarify, and it need to be specific for children of enslaved people, because this shit has been weaponized. People have ran amok. There's a bunch of anchor babies. We got like 14 anchor babies on stage. Dean's one, Matt's one, JJ's one, Milano's one, and Chaotic is one. Alright? So, this is the issue.
No, I'm not, Lou. Be crazy.
Wait, did your family come over from Canada?
No, yeah, like in the 1200s. Before the country was formed.
Not the 1200s.
Yeah, the Nova Scotia.
She's a Brazilian too. Are you serious?
No, I'm Creole. The Frenchies came over.
Canada, if you're Creole.
It's Nova Scotia. We know our history. Calm down.
Can't be.
Wait a minute. Why do immigrants always think that Americans don't know their history? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That you're not indigenous.
What are you? Creole is literally made up of indigenous, African, French and Spanish. Are you
You're
okay,
a mixed
Dean?
person. You're not
Wait,
indigenous. You're a mix of a lot of cultures.
Oh my God.
Hold on. Listen, let me finish this part, because I was joking about Mickey. But see, the thing about this, because I hate when people bring this case up, because this arose under a unique conditions, right? It was the Chinese Exclusion Act, which racially and nationally targeted a single ethnic group, right? Chinese immigrants could not naturalize, could not freely enter or return, and were denied most legal protections, creating a constitutional crisis. So that was unique to them, because there wasn't a let's say if there's a Indian Exclusionary Act, or there was a Nigerian Exclusionary Act. Okay, these people should make modifications, right? But this is particular to them, and we use this case to say, okay, well, based off this case, everybody should come to this country. No, that's where I think we fucked up at. It shouldn't be because of this case, which they allowed it to happen. But because of this case, everybody that's migrating to this country and have a baby here, that baby's automatically a citizen. That shit doesn't make sense to me.
So I'm curious. Hold on, real quick. I'm curious.
Where's the ambiguity? We get this notion it has to be reinterpreted based on, is it ambiguous?
Not reinterpreted.
It is.
I can tell you.
Hold on. It's extremely ambiguous.
So when it says all persons, I don't understand. I'm curious, what's ambiguous about that?
Let me tell you what's ambiguous about it. Let me address this. Let me address it, because I was the person off the mic too. Yeah, but I was the
Wait, AR the mod. AR go there. Sweet got it.
All right, because I'm gonna show you how it's ambiguous, Dean, right? Because I was gonna ask you this question. So, if two people that came to the country illegally have an American soil and have a baby, right? The baby's a citizen. Now, let's say Canada decides to invade America, right? They invade America. They fucking take Nebraska, they take New York, and some of the soldiers, bring their wives, they're occupying our country, and they have children. Are those babies American citizens?
No.
Why? Hold on. Why is it that our Constitution would say those people occupying our country, even though they're here illegally, right? And they had children on our soil, they aren't babies, but two people that came here illegally can have a baby on our soil and their children. What's the difference?
Because they're hostile foreign actors. So the three qualifications that render you uneligible to fall under those provisions are a foreign diplomat, a foreign hostile actor, and what's the last one, CEO?
Native American.
Native American. So
check it out.
Hold on, just for clarity, because the notion is there's some ambiguity that's already stipulated. But okay, go ahead.
All right. So if people are invading our country illegally, what makes them less hostile than a foreign military doing it?
I mean, I'd have to speculate, but I would imagine taking up arms, a whole host of things. I mean, we got to understand these are legal statuses. So an undocumented immigrant is someone that is fleeing their country.
No, it doesn't say why they're fleeing. They're here illegally.
Okay.
Y'all love to go back to they're fleeing oppression. Fuck all that. No, they're here illegally. Don't talk about where they came from, what they went through. They came to this country illegally, and they're illegally here.
Okay.
Please don't give me the fucking.
Let me address the ambiguity. I want to address
We already said I could go after AI. Hey, Dean.
If two people from MS-13 come here and have a baby, they're pretty hostile. MS-13. Should their baby be illegal?
Yeah, AI, you do have an interesting point. If you boil it down to, like, let's say the Mexican cartel intentionally was funding people to come to the U.S. and have a child, and we're at war with the Mexican cartel. In that case, you could say we're an enemy combatant, sure. So you do have an interesting argument.
Okay, but let me address Dean's ambiguity. Let me address his ambiguity point. The reason it's let me hold on for a minute. I was after AI. I've been patient. So the reason, Dean, it's the ambiguity
is because it doesn't mention black folks when everybody understands that the million-pound elephant in the room at that time when America was being established, you mention everybody else, the natives and everybody, except for this group of people that were slaves over here. They're not even talked about at all. So that was an underlying thing, like, okay, well, slavery and Kansas, and you understand, all kind of stuff was debating on whether they're going to continue slavery as they were expanding these states. So it was this elephant in the room that had to be addressed is, what are we going to do with these black slaves? And so the idea of the 14th Amendment, by the time that kicks in, is way down the road. So there was ideas already that 1790, the Naturalization Act, how do you become a citizen in the United States of America? 1776, by the way, is when, you know, the country officially, you know, 4th of July is coming up, and things kind of crystallized by 1776. A lot happened before that, of course. But by the time you get to 1790, now you start addressing, the Constitution in America starts to address Naturalization Act. 2 years if you're white. If you're white, and everybody else ain't even in the conversation. If you're white, 2 years, good character, you know, we'll let you be a part of this thing called America. Meanwhile, you got all these slaves running around here, and their property. So, and, you know, so there's that whole reality. So the 14th Amendment addresses that, where Donald Trump is accurate about, that's what this was about, because he's addressing how it's totally off the rails over in 2020. And so he's trying to bring it back to, and I love what AI brought up about the 1790 piece. Because, so the ambiguity, everybody's riding what happened in the 14th, I say everybody, all these other non-whites now are riding what happened in the 14th Amendment, and it's just kind of like, oh shit, if these slaves, I got better status than them, I'm coming over, I'm good character, and that's what has never been addressed. So I love what AI brought up. That's the ambiguity, because the reality is these so-called Negro slaves, that was 14th Amendment was saying, okay, if you're born here, that was addressing him. And they didn't want to put that straight out language in there about the slaves and blacks. They put all persons. And here's what, now you understand where the ambiguity came from.
Okay, hold on. That's lunacy. That's lunacy, and I'll tell you why.
Lunacy to you. Go ahead.
Something can be intended for, but not exclusive to. According to this logic, citizenship, sort of the requirements of citizenship, would vanquish post proclamation. Well, let me finish. Again, if we look at
you let him win, we let you speak, you let him win.
Yeah.
You've spoken a lot.
Hold on, ma'am. Sober up. The verbiage is quite clear.
Who the fuck you talking to? Don't talk to her like that, bro.
Blue, respectfully.
Not sober up. Who we talking to?
Sober up. Shoot, I'm clear.
Hold on, and that's my people, bro. Don't disrespect her like that. I'll violate your punk ass.
The verbiage is quite clear. There's three qualifications that render you ineligible. It stipulates what it stipulates. If we take AI's logic, cool, for deportation or whatever concerning undocumented migrants, the Trump administration is free to make that case. By them coming into this country, they are a quote-unquote hostile foreign actor, and in turn, they are not eligible, their child is not eligible for citizenship. They're free to make that legal argument. If that's the best you got.
Actually, hold on. I was about to give you an update.
So they're free to make that argument, and that could be adjudicated. So even still manning that point, there's no need to tamper with the 14th Amendment. Of course.
So what's crazy, I don't know if you know, Dean, but just yesterday, the DOJ just upgraded something for deportation. I don't know the official terminology, but any immigrant convicted of a felony or a crime can be deported. So yes, and it's kind of crazy. And the reason why I asked CEO that question about the ambiguity is because I'm actually glad that you said that. Is because
ambiguity.
Thank you for the clarification. Every time I want to say it, I'll point to you.
You're welcome.
I snap my fingers and I need you to say it.
Well, they already think black people are dumb. Can we at least learn how to pronounce
Well, you hear the
Is that racist? Words are racist now, just like numbers.
But you're here to cover for us, Nikki.
No, you're welcome.
Nikki, hold on. You're here to cover for us to make us look brilliant. All right, look. So the thing is this: to say if somebody's hostile or not when they come into this country illegally, well, only God knows what's in their heart. So you mean to tell me somebody can come into this country under the guise of, hey, I'm not hostile, and I have a baby, even though I'm here illegally, I'm not hostile, so the baby's an American citizen. But if I'm hostile, then my baby is illegal. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta make it make sense. Because now we're talking about based on hostility. If they're a citizen or not, it seems like we're picking and choosing.
Yeah, so...
Lou, can you tell this raging lesbian Sarah that I do not bump coochies, I'm strictly dickly? Because she's fucking obsessed. I don't want you, girl. You're ugly anyway. Oh. Sorry, guys. Carry on.
Somebody put, oh Lord, oh my Lord, in the chat.
She's fucking weird, bro. First she wanted to be my friend and she told me she loved me and shit. Like, you crackhead ass motherfucker. I don't want you, girl. Yeah, run, Sarah. I stay locked and loaded.
So,
knocking at.
So,
trying to wave her into a
AI. So, AI real quick.
I don't want that ugly asshole. Somebody cash out her so she can suck a dick real quick and get the fuck off. Auntie Mickey. Hey, boo.
Okay. AI. So there was a man named Michael Walsh who both had Irish immigrant parents, born in 1810, and he was considered an American citizen. So this is after the Naturalization Acts that you're talking about, and before the 14th Amendment. Both parents were foreigners. He was born in the U.S. He was considered a citizen. So this really could not get any clearer. This practice was done before the 14th Amendment. It was spelled out clearly in the 14th Amendment. It was judicated in 1898. It was judicated again in 1982 and 1985. What is the ambiguity?
CEO, how long had he been here? Had he been here for
He got born. No, he got born. When he was born, he was considered a citizen.
No. Hold on. This is a great convo. Y'all just broke a rule in IGB. I'll open the room, bro. Y'all just move people out the room. I have two mods. Me and my nigga Kirk.
Who did it? I own up to all my shit. When I fuck up, I own up to it. That wasn't me.
You own up to everything?
They need to ratify the Naturalization Act and tell everybody that you don't have to just be white anymore, because they never ratified that.
I bet it was a first gen that did it, hating ass. Yeah. I owns up to it when I do stuff, so that was. You actually do, Ties. Shout out to you for doing that, because most of these people lie to themselves in their sleep. So
well, I don't think women own up to everything, because y'all lie about how many bodies y'all got. But look,
oh my God! Your mama also lied to you and told you she loved you, Daddy.
Leave my innocent mother out of this.
Your mother not a woman or what?
No, my mother's trans.
Well, you just said that when. Oh, hold on, wait.
What's your grandmother?
I was born to two illegal trans. My mom was trans and my dad was trans.
Which one?
Illegally.
Your mom figure or your dad figure had the dildo? Look the shit out of the other one.
Hold on. We ain't doing the crash. Alright, everybody click the link up top. Because they removed 4 people from y'all doing too much. We're gonna get started. Y'all niggas on some weird.
Lou, I got a question though, really quick. If 2 trans people come into this
he left.
Damn. So this is the question for the room. If 2 trans come into the country illegally, right? And they have a baby. Is the baby a boy? Is he born to 2 mothers or 2 fathers, or a mother and a father?
Curtis, how many times are you gonna ask this question?
Answer it. Since we like to do it like little ambiguity, right? Let's figure that out. That's some homework for y'all.
Yay, you pronounced it properly. Good job, Curtis.
Thank you. You need to wave Sarah into a private. You need to wave Sarah into a private and squash.
Oh, what the fuck? I'm so mad we fucking delete the replays from last night. We was chopping up with this dude. Anyways,
now you remember you turned off the replays on purpose, right?
No, I don't know why I did that.
Because you're a nice person.
It was because of that Michael Jackson shit.
When they did the title change, that shit was diabolical, bro.
That was me. I did the title.
When this verdict come in, it's gonna be.
Yeah, you savage. You fake nice.
I fuck with him. No, I really fuck with him. I reached out to him. We about to hang out. I got hella homies like him.
You don't have to mod me, but I always own up when I do some shit, and that was not me.
No, I know you would do. I'm a moderator. I'm just good right now. Hey, wait. Can somebody go to the other room and tell everybody to come over here? Or I'm going to motherfucker. Thanks. Let me play this big. Yes, Trump really threatened to deport Elon. I ain't gonna lie, this is dysfunctional shit, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I fuck with
I need to get some live now from Fox.